All right, welcome in to Big Hitters Only, a repeat guest, Mr. Adam Smith. Wow, live from inside Carolina offices. That is the Blue Shark background that I designed and made. How's it going, Adam?
Who loves you more than me, Ross? I mean, we're right here in the house that you built, the studio
Uh,
that you built, practically with your own blood, sweat, and tears. The sponsorship that you secured.
I
I mean,
know, I
it's like
love it.
homecoming. It's like homecoming for you.
I remember I would buy a thing of peanut M&Ms and put it in one of those drawers, and like some beef jerky and put it in those drawers that always have snacks. Go to Walmart, pick up Gatorades and waters and sodas and stuff. And I would take a nap on that couch every once in a while. I mean, there's some long hours, long days. I remember napping on that couch right there.
It's a big couch. I have
You froze.
um, it's not Clorox that I've sprayed it down and wiped it off before when I've stretched out on it just to make sure it's clean for the next person that wants to use it.
There you go. All right. Welcome to the Big Hitters Only podcast. Guys, rate, review, subscribe, follow Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. I want to talk to Adam because he's the only person that could give it to me straight. What's going on at quarterback? This is a quarterback episode. And to be honest, I watched most of the game on Saturday, but it was kind of, I had on like my ESPN streaming app, but it was kind of looking away. I was following some other games at the same time. So it started with Conner Harrell and then put in Jacoby Criswell in the third series. That was the plan. Hey, you'd be proud of me. I listened to the Mac Brown's press conference after the game and on Monday. That was always the plan to play Criswell, and they stuck with him after he kind of carried them some drives, and they put Conner Harrell back in. All right, Adam, who is going to start on Saturday versus JMU?
I would start Jacolby Criswell, wouldn't you? I mean,
Uh,
uh, I don't know, but I mean, I could. I need to keep it on a positive, Ross. I don't want to go negative against Conner Harrell, who is a wonderful person. I mean, you know his story. Valedictorian of his high school class, and I think it's Alabaster, Alabama, somewhere down there. Broke his hand, and they still won the state championship. He quarterbacked them with a broken hand. I mean, he is a great dude, but I would say, I mean, it hasn't really been an audition, but if this was an audition, I feel like it's time to yank him, honestly. Um, yeah, I thought Jacolby, who I mean, the 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 journey of Jacolby Criswell, my goodness, this guy was at UNC, um, in 2020. Uh, he backed up Sam Howell for 2 years before going to Arkansas, before coming back to UNC. But I mean, I think if I was Chip Lindsey, if I was Mac Brown, I would go ahead and roll with Jacob Criswell. And my God, what what a find! Uh,
yeah, how lucky are
I
they?
don't. That's what I think. I think they're incredibly fortunate to be able to start the year with him as their third quarterback.
Yeah, so let me ask you this: why didn't Criswell start against Minnesota? Like he looks so much better than Conner Harrell. Why wasn't he number two? Why wasn't he competing with Max Johnson? You put him in the game. It's just a matter of the fact that in the game he looks better than he does in practice. Do you have any insight into that? It seems like everyone is saying Criswell is the guy now, and we've seen a lot of Conner Harrell. So why wasn't Criswell kind of competing for that job after the summer? I know he had to catch up, but he seems like more of the gamer, more experience, bigger body, all that stuff.
Well, some of those words you just said are pretty appropriate. He got here overweight. Um, he has lost. He told us the other night he's lost 15 pounds since he got here. And quite frankly, I mentioned it in the game scoop that I wrote. Quite frankly, when we did the limited amount, we did see him in training camp. As you know, we get to see a couple practices here and there. We certainly don't get to go to every practice. He looked like he was carrying too much weight. That first night of practice, he's in the black number 12 jersey. You're not supposed to touch the black jersey. He looked chunky, and he's
Yeah.
not the tallest guy in the world. But to also answer your question about Minnesota, I mean, this has been a saga since Max Johnson committed. in late November before the portal was even open. Um, I personally, I know Mac Brown and Chip Lindsey and the whole UNC staff had talked about Max Johnson and Conner Harrell competing. I don't see how they were not going to start Max Johnson week 1 at Minnesota after you go and get him out of the portal. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship Mac Brown had with
Big
Brad
Brad.
Johnson, his father, the Florida State ties. Mark Richt is Max Johnson's uncle. Uh, I mean, I personally just don't. I personally don't think Mac Brown was ever going to tell Brad Johnson and Mark Richt, "Hey, we're not starting your boy."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
after they went and got him out of the portal.
Max Johnson's not playing. So let's talk about what is better about Jacoby Criswell than Conner Harrell? Like, what stood out to you in that game, the win against NC Central? Like, why is everybody thinking that Criswell's a better player? I mean,
I will
if
name
he's too
drop.
fat, I mean, he seems like the better player. I mean,
I
people
will
say he's
name drop.
overweight, but like, if you can gain, sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I will name drop one of our favorite people, yours and mine, young Evan Rogers, our intern at Inside Carolina. We're sitting up there just like you and I used to do, and he says to me, which I totally agreed when he said it. He said to me during the game against Central, he's actually playing quarterback when Criswell was in there, and it's true, honestly. If you watch, I think the presence in the pocket. There was a calmness about Jacoby Criswell. Now, granted, they were playing a team from the FCS. They were not playing the 1985 Chicago Bears. But he did have time to throw, and he took that time. There were a bunch of times I thought he went off his first read to his second read to even his third read and, checked it down. These are things that Conner has not been doing. The touchdown pass that Conner Harrell threw against UNC Charlotte, the 58-yard over the top bomb on the trick play, that actually
Mm-hmm.
was kind of a huge moment, you know, developmentally wise, because his first read on that pass was John Copenhaver, the tight end. And he looked at Cope and he looked at him a long time because he tends to stare down his guy. And he went off of him to Christian Hamilton for the touchdown. So I think that's where Jacolby has a leg up, is just that, you know, the quality of the way he goes about playing. And I think another thing that has sort of tripped up Conner Harrell is one of his greatest assets, if not his greatest asset, is his speed. He can really run when he gets up to high gear, but I don't think he plays that fast in terms of when you do see him scramble. I haven't seen him really kick it into high gear. When he played against Campbell last year at the end of the year, they emptied the bench. They were blowing Campbell out, the FCS team.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross, he hit 22 miles an hour on like the trackers that they have, the
Mm-hmm.
catapult system, whatever it is. He hit
Mm-hmm.
22 miles an hour on a touchdown run. I mean, he was flying. I mean,
Yeah, I remember
it
that.
was impressive when that happened. But the two games, well, the three games that he's played, Minnesota, Charlotte, and Central, you just haven't seen Connor use what he's best at doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, you gotta get pushed out of the pocket, man. Go get you a first down. Go get you 15 yards. Use that
Turn
to
it
your ability.
loose.
Reset the first down marker. It seems you need a quarterback who can make that 20-yard throw, make that 25-yard throw to extend the offense, to open up the playbook. And it seemed like Criswell just has a better arm, a better pocket awareness, the confidence to throw downfield. Max always raved about his arm strength. I mean, even in the competition with Drake May 3 years ago, he said that Jacoby Criswell has a great arm. I mean, Phil Longo recruited him for the air raid offense, and you have to be able to push the ball downfield. So physically, you would think that Criswell has it. I mean, we haven't seen him play a lot. So I am super interested to see who he rolls out and then who he sticks with. And if he goes back to Connor, like I think he's going to start Criswell. I think that's what's going to happen. But if
I think you
he,
have
hey,
to.
third series puts Conner Harrell back in, fan base will not be happy. You might lose a little support with the wide receiver room. I'm sure people love Conner Harrell. I'm sure he's beloved. He seems like a great guy. There's no reason to dislike him. Not a cocky guy. Kind of been there for a couple of years now, earned his right to start. So I'm sure they like him and want to support him. But at some point, you're like, all right, we got to get the ball. We got to get the ball downfield. We need someone who can lead us, the confidence, moving the ball downfield to receivers and tight ends, guys that are trying to go to the NFL. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Like, what happens if it's a tight game, third, fourth quarter. If they rule out Criswell, I mean, that's who they're sticking with. But if they mess around with Conner and let JMU sneak back in, it's going to be the two quarterback thing. Like, Mac loves it. Like, pick one. Pick one until he breaks his leg and then go to the next guy.
In sort of a double-edged sword type situation here, the way that UNC's schedule has been set up with this will be the third straight home game against lesser competition. Some of the things that I've written, it's set up once you had the horrific Max Johnson injury, it's set up as sort of a runway to where you could sort of get Conner Harrell up to speed and sort of hopefully launch him off the runway into ACC play against Duke on September 28th. But that hasn't happened. He has not been able to sort of capture this job. But the flip side of that is, well, you know what? You've had these 3 home games, and now you've gotten Criswell in there, and heck, maybe he can use the game against JMU this weekend as the next step to take. You're talking about his arm. You would have loved it. We got to talk to him this summer with some of the last, him and Joshua Harris and some of the last guys that came through the portal. And at one point, Jacoby Criswell has his right arm. I had him going a little bit. I will say I had him going a little bit. And he pats his right arm, and he's like, that's the moneymaker right there. And I was like, okay, because we were asking him, you remember he used to say that he could throw it farther than Sam Howell could. And I always thought Sam Howell had a very strong arm.
Yeah, dude, I don't even remember ever talking to Jacoby Criswell. Like, I don't think we got Drake or Jacoby that offseason. That leading up to when Drake got named the starter, like the week of the game. I don't remember talking to Jacoby. Maybe I'm wrong.
I know we talked to him after a spring game. I remember talking to him after a spring game. And him
that makes
talking
sense.
about being able to. I think he said he threw the ball 70 yards or something. I mean, I don't know. Ross, we were over there one day at the practice facility just during camp. And I mean, he's a great dude. I was messing with him a little bit while we were waiting on guys to come. And he basically said, watch this without saying it. Because he was like, hey, like that, like getting my attention. Hey, he just throws the ball 50 yards in the air. And then kind of
changes the offense.
Like that. What's that?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, it changes the offense when you can do that. When you can launch it 40, 50 yards, it changes the offense.
Well, don't forget you got Amorian Hampton in the backfield too. I mean, if you can just have competent quarterback play, because the games are going to get harder. I mean, even though the ACC is freaking wacky, the games are going to get harder. Not that the Central game wasn't. It was a 17-10 game in the fourth quarter before they broke it open. But if you could just have competent quarterback play, I mean, you have a luxury with Amorian and the way he's able to run the ball and the hits that he's able to take and still keep going.
Yeah, he's been a beast. And behind him, and Davion Gauze and Charleston French look pretty good too. Gauze looks like a stud. Yeah, I mean, you need mediocre to average to a little bit above average quarterback play, and this offense could look pretty good. You gotta get some of these receivers involved where you have a go-to guy and kind of open it up. I mean, how about Gavin? I was just thinking Gavin Blackwell, dude. I don't think I've heard his name yet.
He's like
surprising because I know, unbelievable. He was a big time recruit. All right, I think that wraps up the quarterback talk. Like, I don't know how much you could talk about. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. I think this will be a telling game. I think it'll be a little bit more competition. Then, like, you got to pick a guy because Duke, 4 p.m. kickoff in Wallace Wade. I think I'll be there for that one. And then it's ACC play. You got Pitt and Georgia Tech at home. You got to get past JMU, but it ramps up. I mean, Pitt's looking good. They just beat West Virginia. Yeah. I mean, it's you got the 3 wins. Hopefully UNC gets the 4th, and then you go into Duke. I mean, Duke's might have the best quarterback in the triangle right now. Since your boy Grayson McCall has a concussion, they're going with C.J. Bailey. So, and obviously the mess here in Chapel Hill with two Max love of 2 quarterbacks. All right.
Think about
anything else on quarterbacks?
If they do start Criswell, which you would think, I'm sure you remember it. It was November of 2021. In a game against Wofford, that Jacolby Criswell actually started for the UNC Tar Heels because Sam Howell was the only game he did not play in his career. He had like a shoulder situation, and that was also the day Jaquarius Conley got wrecked on that kickoff. But I remember Criswell started, played the first half, and a guy named Drake May played the second half. So if they do go to Criswell, his second start comes 3 years later,
Yeah.
thereabouts.
Yeah, what a story. Like, you occasionally will meet, I played football in college. I think 40 years from now. Criswell, where'd you play college football? Well, UNC, and then Arkansas, and then UNC. It's like kind of like a weird deal.
He
All right,
was
that's
here
15 minutes of quarterback.
pre-pandemic. He
What'd
was
you
here
say?
pre-pandemic. He enrolled. He was here 2021 pre-pandemic, if you can believe that. Like
Yeah, that's crazy.
when he early enrolled, the pandemic had not hit yet. It was about to, but I mean, it's just kind of crazy to think about. I mean, he was here in 2020.
I remember covering his recruitment, and he took a trip to Arkansas, and I think Auburn was recruiting him, but he was a big guy. He was a big time 4-star quarterback. All right, 15 minutes in, we'll figure out more. We'll talk after JMU. How is it? How's having a freshman daughter at UNC? How's that been going,
Oh
Adam?
my God.
Let's catch up here.
Well, I'm not ready for that question. Well, it's eventful. This is not very interesting, but right now it's very rainy, and she needs some better footwear for the rain. These are the things you figure out. I mean, I remember when I came to school, I didn't have a great jacket. I needed to get a good jacket. That was pre-cell phone. I remember I bought my first watch because I needed to know what time it was. Never had a watch before. That's what a country little rube I was. But it's there've been some highs and lows. But she's finding her way, and she was very fired up to go to the home opener against UNC Charlotte. I got a screenshot because she hit the lottery, the student lottery for tickets, and I got a screenshot, and there's Mac Brown's face. I guess he sends some video message to the students.
Nice.
So
I
it's kind of a full
I
circle
doubt.
thing.
Yeah, I doubt there's any like how many freshmen have a father who is on campus 3 to 4 times a week. Like every day for most of the year, including basketball season. It's kind of an interesting situation. That's what happens when you're right next door in Mebane. I think I'll be in the press box on Saturday, big dog.
For JMU?
Yeah, I'm coming to JMU. I plan to come to the Duke
Okay.
game. I think I'll be there for Pitt and Georgia Tech. Not sure I'll do press box for Pitt and Georgia Tech. But with the 12 o'clock kickoff for JMU, I'm just going to be all business, clock in, clock out.
You are?
Maybe tailgate a little bit, but I'm going to be in the press box because I don't think it's going to be some crazy scene out there that I need to enjoy. So I'll be locked in for that. It's the first. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. First time back in the football press box since 2022. So I'm excited. I went down to Tennessee and saw Charlotte for the Tennessee State game. This is my first time seeing UNC live, so excited for that.
Well, I will tell you, if you don't mind, I will tell you, and I shouldn't do this because this could blow your ego up a little bit, but I have had people at UNC football games ask me if you were coming back to cover a game. They know that you're, back here, the big dogs roaming around North Carolina again. I've had at least 2 young men who are like sports information stat helpers that are great dudes.
Okay.
Super great dudes. Ben and Jake, I'll go ahead and shout them out. Ben and Jake, both of them have said, is the big dog coming today? Is the big dog? And I'm like, that big dog's in Charlotte today. I don't even know where the big dog is today. But so maybe we'll introduce you a little bit. They're looking. They're eagerly awaiting your arrival, I would say.
How's the press box? Without me. Not that I was some crazy figure, but is there? I mean, you got the cast of characters there, but it seems like you're running the show there.
I'm not running the show. I'm just looking through the binoculars trying to see who's in uniform. I mean, it's unreal. You know how it is. You're up there 2 hours before the game. When you get done with the pregame scoop that we have to do, you feel like you've written a full story. It's like, good Lord, I just wrote 500 words about who's in uniform. I mean, it's your standard scene. It's not very sexy. It's just a bunch of dorks like me up there. So I wouldn't get overly excited.
What's the food situation now? Are they doing post-game pizza?
The food situation is improving. We have gotten pregame meals the last 2 games, courtesy of Dan with UNC Sports Info. Great addition. Love Dan. We had bagel sandwiches the other day against UNC Charlotte. Had Chick-fil-A against North Carolina Central. I have, as I learned from the big dog, sort of, you know, put a lot of them on my seat because it's a long haul. You're there till midnight sometimes, pecking away. So you should have a pregame meal.
So back when I started, 2015, 16, 17, up until I think the pandemic, man, they used to have a spread.
Oh,
And Adam didn't really start covering UNC full time until 2019, 2021. So you weren't there every weekend. I mean, you were at Elon games. But
the
the hot
spread
dog,
was.
they usually have a hot dog situation. So you always have, like Carolina hot dogs. So chili, slaw, onions. They usually have something else like potato salad. They would go. You have some hot dogs would always be there. They'd add on like, all right, we're gonna do chicken breast or chili or something. So there's always a big spread. Cookies, soda machine, and then post game. I think they used to always do pizza. Maybe of a new thing. I'm not sure if they always had
We're
pizza.
not doing the pizza right now.
Okay, so then after the pandemic, you had to bring your own lunch. So you brought your own stuff. You could bring anything you want to bring. So you bring, soda, juice, white bread with turkey and mustard, anything you want to bring. So, and that was kind of, kind of sucks. Pack a lunch, like, and then they would do post game pizza. So they
Yep.
order, 20 pizzas from IP3s or somewhere else. But the spread, I mean, dude, it's one of the best parts about being in the media is the free food.
You're making me hungry right
Basketball,
now.
I know. Basketball always stuck. They didn't do the big spreads as much after COVID, but they still brought in. I think they still brought in pretty good food. I think traditionally Chick-fil-A, Taco Bar,
Oh yeah,
barbecue. I mean,
Bojangles,
you'll know.
Russian barbecue.
Yeah, Jersey Mike's was occasionally the one. Shout out Jersey Mike's, trying to get them on as a sponsor. So yeah, we'll see. And then the soda machine obviously is a plus. But if you have Chick-fil-A, you gotta take a couple, put them in your bag, put them underneath your
Yep.
table because you're there. You get in there an hour, hour and a half before the game. You're not leaving 3 or 4 hours after the game, so it's a full, almost 8 hour day. You get there at 10:30. Won't be leaving for a 12 kickoff until 6:30, 7 probably.
What, Ross? You're talking about Jersey Mike sponsorship? I mean, Duke's Mayo could be a sponsor. I mean, were you able to like maybe make a pitch when you went down there for
Yeah.
NC State and Tennessee? What was that
Hey,
scene
we're
like? I bet it was.
we're open. We're open for all sponsorships. I gotta get local people that I can actually talk to, like the owner or the person who's making the decision. If you go too corporate, you don't talk to anybody. You're not talking to decision makers. The scene, the food was great at the Duke's
Oh,
Mayo
I'm
Bowl.
sure.
Dude, the soft serve ice cream at Bank of America is incredible. It was unbelievable. Me and Andrew Carter had 2 bowls each of just soft serve ice cream sundaes. Anyway, how about your boy Panthers quarterback getting
Oh
benched?
my goodness. I'm not smart enough to talk about the Panthers. I just cover colleges. I'm not a big timer like that.
Yeah,
Even though I am, like you said, second appearance on the big hitters. This is my second plate appearance.
that's right.
But yeah, I guess I mean, this is what he's the number one overall pick, and
It's
they've moved on
unbelievable.
from him. It
Yeah.
is.
Okay, actually, let's get you out on one question. Uh, what has changed in your opinion of this UNC team from when we talked last, which is like about a week before the kickoff, the first game against Minnesota? I think we talked on a Saturday. They played the next Saturday. What has changed in your opinion of this team from that point to right now? We're recording on Tuesday, September 17th, my dad's birthday, at 5:30 or so p.m. How old do you think my dad is?
John Martin. Am I able to say
Hmm.
that? I may have just doxed him.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, he's a good looking dude. He's taking care of himself. I'm gonna say he's 75.
77. Great podcasting. All right, your opinion has changed on this UNC team from then to now, 4 weeks later.
I think there's a lot to like about this UNC team. I think there are a lot of parts that we have seen in the 3 game sample size. The defense. We didn't even talk about the defense.
Hmm.
These guys are playing. That defensive line is nasty, Ross. Your boy Travis Shaw. These guys are getting after it. They look like they're being coached up. I think there's a lot to like about the defense. I think how could you not like
You're just using buzzwords.
I think there's big football guy talk.
Yeah.
I think there's obviously a lot to like about Amari and Hampton. I think he's third or fourth in the country in rushing, number 1 yards after contact. Um, So I think they have learned that they could beat every team they have on this schedule. It's not like they're going to be playing, Ohio State and Alabama and Georgia and Texas. I mean, this thing could get super weird. It could go off a cliff. They could roll into Florida State unbeaten, and now FSU's a dang train wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, they're terrible.
Dude, I didn't even think about that. I kind of block out. I do the schedule and I compartmentalize the schedule. So it's like, all right, first 4 games, and then you go, the Duke game, and then it kind of, all right, you got 2 more home games. And then I don't even know who they play after Georgia Tech. But yeah, I didn't think about that. Man, Florida State's one of the 0-3. That locker room's probably falling apart. So the hardest game on UNC's schedule now looks like that spread. You got to think that Florida State may be still favored by a point or 2. But just because of the talent, but
who knows what either team is going to look like when they get down there. But I mean, when you go through the schedule and you say, okay, UNC is going to go, 8-4 or 7-5, you were counting Florida State as a loss. Obviously, everyone was. So yeah, I mean, I think every game on this schedule, when you get to Duke to start ACC play, is winnable or losable. I really do. I mean, I think it could go any sort of way. But I think there are parts to like. There definitely is a foundation you can depend on. But I think they need some competent play at quarterback, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the schedule now. James Madison, Duke, Pitt, Georgia Tech. I mean, Virginia's maybe a little bit better than people thought. Florida State a little less, and you got Wake, Boston College, NC State. I mean, yeah, it opens up for them, but it's also all these teams is just so mediocre. Is Pittsburgh good? They could be a lot better than we expected. Georgia Tech got the big win over Florida State. Virginia's okay. They compete. They went in and I guess beat Wake Forest on that in the fourth quarter there. Florida State, Wake Forest, Boston College, NC State maybe a little worse than we thought. Boston College maybe a little better than we thought. So yeah, it's kind of nothing really stands out. It's all all right, spread's gonna be 3 to 5 points either way, depending on who has the home field advantage.
I mean, arguably the best teams on their schedule right now, we're sitting here in the middle of September, are Boston College, Georgia Tech, and Pitt. I mean, you could make that argument. I mean, I think Boston College has looked good. I remember looking at the schedule and oh man, they go up to BC in November. What will that scene be like? But I mean, geez, they look pretty frisky. But yeah, you're talking about spreads. I don't see how you confidently put any money on any of these games. I mean, you got to hold on for dear life, baby.
Bill O'Brien up in Chestnut Hill. That'll be an interesting one as well. All right, appreciate Adam. Just wanted to get a quick overview of the quarterback situation. Don't want to hold you much longer. Appreciate you coming on. Guys, check out Adam's writing, The Scoop, the VIP Scoop, the Game Week Stories, the Gamer on InsideCarolina.com. We are a friend of Inside Carolina. They employed me for 5 years. I listen to their podcast. I talk to Ben occasionally because I still work for 24/7 Sports in CBS Sports. People forget that. This isn't a full-time job. It's podcast thing. The moneymaker is CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports. I'm working with Grant Hughes. I'm working with Ben. I talked to Sherelle a little bit here and there for some recruiting stuff. So we're part of the family still with Inside Con. So check out Adam's stuff, InsideCon.com, subscribe, and then rate, review, and listen to this podcast as well. All right, Adam, appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, man. See you, bud.
I'll see you on Saturday.